Michelle, hello.
It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you too.
I don't know what all crazy stuff is behind me, this glittery stuff, but okay, we're gonna act like it's on purpose.
It's Black Girl Magic is what it is.
There you go. That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I live on the main street of Louisville, so at least for the next 2.5 weeks. So pardon the stuff.
No worries. Because you have, a lot has happened since your episode.
I know, right?
That was like a year and a half ago. That was October 2019. But one of the things is that you moved. It wasn't all bad things in 2020. How are you doing? Where are you at now?
No. Well, it's funny because I actually have a funny story to tell about how that trip to New York, because the show was on a Friday night, wasn't it? On a Friday? And then I think the next day, it must have been a Friday because it was the weekend.
I should know this because I worked all of those events.
I'm positive it was a Friday. I'm positive it was a Friday, but I'll wait and tell the story live because it's actually kind of a funny story. but if I tell you now, then you won't have a reaction to it live.
What?
Okay, what? I'll tell you.
What are you talking about? Tell me. I'm so curious now.
While I was there,
and then I'm like, I need to know.
While I was there, like it must have been my play was Friday night because Saturday I went to go see other things. Yeah, because I'd already seen Slave Play, and then the next day I went. Yeah, right. And then the next day I saw the Harry Potter plays, and I met a friend for dinner. And then so I was in Manhattan, and I decided to go try to see Saturday Night Live without a ticket. Because Chance the Rapper was both the musical guest and the host. And I couldn't get in after like waiting in line 2 hours. And then my cell phone was about to die. And then on my way back to Brooklyn at the Airbnb, because of all these things that happened with the train, the bus, everything, my cell phone did die. So I am in Brooklyn, wandering around Brooklyn, literally at 2 a.m. Can't call anybody because my cell phone has died. Cannot Google Map where exactly my Airbnb is because my cell phone has died.
Oh my gosh, you can't even get an Uber. Get someone else to handle it for you.
I couldn't do any of those things because I had no cell phone. Like all the things you rely on for a cell phone, and the lesson in all of that was the following month I was supposed to be, I was in Africa and in Europe for a project, a Pulitzer grant. It was that trip in Brooklyn where I'm like, okay, I've been playing with this cell phone. I need to get a new cell phone as soon as I get back home because what I look like wandering around Europe and Africa like I am Brooklyn at 2 a.m. with trying to figure out how to get around. So it was, but no, and my feet hurt. I was like, this is like, what the hell? I had to rely on my bad memory to figure out where to get to my Airbnb. And I finally figured it out. And it's like, oh my God.
Oh no, I had no idea the shenanigans going on.
No, it was cray. I was like, I had an angel on my shoulder that nothing happened to me that night.
You had a whirlwind of a trip.
I did. I really did and even in getting the Airbnb, which was like ridiculously cheap, like suspiciously cheap, like something like $50 a night, right? But it was fine. But it was really fine. But still, it ended up being the other side of Brooklyn from where my play was. So that's the other reason why I was like, okay, this was just crazy. absolutely crazy. So that's my story of that fated trip in Brooklyn. Yeah.
But you made it. You survived.
I did, and I feel like that was also the trip where I met my agent in person for the first time, and she realized that I was not some frumpy personality, no personality, having Kansas. Like, she realized, oh, she's not at all what I thought someone from Kansas would be like. It was just, I think I'm almost positive that was the trip. Let me just say, and then
I do know it was the trip where you met an internet bestie for the first time. Yes, Nelson Diaz Melcano, also a past playwright from season 4, and then we had you for season 5, and then for our viewers who may not know, Michelle and Nelson had met over Facebook, being involved in similar online crowds, and bonded and had a great online friendship. They happen. Relationships over the internet are valid. But then when Michelle came to Brooklyn for her episode, Nelson was able to be there. And it was such a beautiful moment getting to watch y'all. It feels even better to remember it now, because now it's like extra. Oh, I wish I could see Nelson in person. I wish I could see everybody in person again. But that was an amazing moment.
No, it was because
bringing people together.
It was because we had been on this Facebook playwrights page that always had some straight up bullshit going down, always, and we were like, you know, taking turns being Batman and Robin. Like, sometimes he was Batman and I was Robin. Sometimes I was Batman and he was Robin. But it was like, if somebody started some mess, usually about something involving diversity, it was like we were not the team we were up against. But we had never met. So we had this like really deep connection. And so meeting in person, it was like so cool. Yes. And there were a couple people who were like, you two had never met in person? It's like, I know, right?
Yeah, because y'all know each other through like the Facebook group and whatnot for like years, like multiple years.
Yes. It's like, well, I don't live here. Like, so. And, and what was, I will say the bad thing about 2020 is that it's the first year I have not had a chance to go to New York for something involving like, well, period. I've been to New York every year as a theater creator for the past 10 years. Like, so every year, either I had a reading. I think one year I didn't have a reading, but I went to go see Hamilton. But so
you got in.
Yeah, but every year, I mean, there's something that to me was one of the saddest things about 2020. I mean, I know people had like real problems and real issues, but and I was really,
that was a loss as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if 2021 is going to happen either, but for sure, 2022, I will be there.
And we will welcome you with open arms. We'd love to have you come back to New York. We'd love to get some drinks with you. It was fun.
Yes.
After Parsnip episodes, we would go to a bar and hang out afterwards too. And that was a highlight.
That was so fun. No, that was real. I remember that distinctly. I can picture that place and all of us being there,
It's definitely like people have been talking all year long about, the loss of community. But that definitely is like some special moments that we were able to put together once a month with Parsnip. We still get to do some pretty cool things with Parsnip as, we're also a digital company. We've been able to kind of give more attention, give some more love to the digital things that we do as well. So that's been something that we have actually been able to get blessed with in this last year. We've been able to do more events in that kind of way. we've been able to do this program called Parsnip Play Club, which is my baby, and I love it. I moderate these, just like, it's just a one night with like a playwright who has this like play in early development, and it's like dramaturgy night.
Right.
It's like a book club for theater nerds type deal, and like that's my shit. I love just like sitting and getting to talk with someone about their work, and it's so much fun. And that's like, we've also been able to do like happy hours where like any artist, we let them have access to our Facebook page and like go off, just take a half hour, an hour, and just like sing some songs, read some poetry, do a monologue, talk about your craft, teach a yoga class, teach a floor dancing class, like do whatever you want. And so there have been some great things we will do. We've been able to do these interviews. It's so great to be able to like engage with you about your work again, which, you know, might not have been able to do this in this way if it hadn't, you know, things kind of gone the way they did. So, you know, there've been some blessings that I'm hanging on to. Getting to see your face on a Thursday night.
Yes. I mean, I actually, you know, it's so rare anymore to have to dig up lipstick, because it's like, I mean, you wear lipstick anymore because, you know, when you're wearing a mask, you know, there's no lipstick. So, but no,
or even like specifically not wearing makeup because like, oh, get all over your mask, and you gotta the mask, you gotta, you know.
But I think once we get back to the end of 2021, 2022, I think theater is going to be better than ever, because I think that people will be more deliberate in their choices, right? Like you're not going to want to get stuck in a bad choice because you never know when stuff will shut back down again. Like, you're going to be more careful. I know I'm going to be more careful about who I work with. So anytime Parsnip ship wants to work with me, I'm just, you know, as soon as you call me, I'm there, you know. You know, the Fire This Time in New York, they're another one. Like anytime, any place, I'm there. You know, and then the flip of that, I won't name who they are. They can kiss my ass. I will not be doing work with them again, because what if we get stuck in a pandemic together? So, you know, we all make choices.
Yes. There are some experiences that's like, you know, there's not enough time. Life is short. Who knows what's going to happen? It's one of those, like you said, yes, I think I'm with you. I am cautious about who I invest my time in. And on the other hand too, it's also like people investing in like the freedom to take risks, because like you don't know what's going to happen. Go for it right now. You might as well, because even if you do like the safe route, even if you play it safe, you know, something might happen to mess that up, and you know, you might as well take the risk and do the thing that you like actually want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, and so much of theater to me, I mean, I'm somebody who has a full-time job. So, you know, I do this. When I do it, it's like it's taken my energy and literally my vacation time. Like I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today. It's like I don't have a limited vacation, you know? And so between now that I live away from home, between, you know, having time to visit family and friends back home in Kansas City. I'm in an MFA program that's low residency. I mean, ironically, it's here in Louisville, but it's still, you know, there's a week or two a year where I have to do that. And then there are theater things that come up. And so, I mean, I don't get unlimited vacation to do things. So I particularly have to go, okay, is this something either after work, on the weekend, on vacation, that I feel like it's worth my time, and it's not good enough anymore for people to go. Because here's the thing for us Black artists, right now people are checking us so that they can go, well, look, we're woke, look, we support you. And it's like, yeah, that's not good enough. You know, that's not good enough that you are woke now and want to use my gravitas to make you look good.
Yeah, I have my wine here and I'm gonna drink to that.
I mean, I got a little wine too. Hello.
Mhm.
Cheers.
Yes, it is not good enough.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It
No,
never
you had
has been, but people are
it,
finally starting to pay attention.
no, it hasn't been. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of theaters that have paid attention and have tried to make those connections, but you know, we're paying attention, right? We're paying attention to who's
Yeah.
just getting started with it and who's just going a little bit further than they had already started. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
if you just waited till 2020 when George Floyd happened, Breonna Taylor happened to go, we stand with Black people, or if you just waited, a few weeks ago to go stop Asian hate, then you know, come on, get with the program before the program
Mhm.
starts.
Yep. Yep. We see the signs. We see the signs. They're not fooling anybody. They're not fooling
No,
anyone.
no, we all know. We all know who's who and what's up. And that's why I love Parsnip Ship, because you actually amplify the voices of the people who may not have a voice. I thank you.
Thank you for saying so, because that is really what we're all about. It really was just the kind of, this was before my time, but like just folks getting in together with the living room and being like, well, no one wants to talk about our place, so we'll talk about our place and we'll invite some friends, and we know dope musicians, so like let's let them perform too and like have a whole night of it. And then it got too big for the living room, and then it got too big for the coffee shop, and then it got too big for the studio, and now we're in a theater. We're in a gorgeous Mark O'Donnell in downtown Brooklyn, the Actors Fund, and we're all over online. And it was interesting too that even up until even past a year ago, the work we were doing was kind of like, well, it's not real theater. Oh, well, it's a podcast. Oh, it's not straight theater. It's not this, it's not that. Nobody gave a shit about what we were doing.
Exactly.
And, we were kind of in a place too where it's like, we don't fucking need you. We're doing what we want to do anyway. There are people who are interested in what we're doing. Like Actors Fund folks were really excited about what we had going on. And I was like, you know what? We're in our corner doing our thing, supporting our people. And that's how we like it. That's how we want to be. We want to raise up our community.
Yeah.
And then with all the live theater getting shut down, and suddenly everybody wants to
all of a sudden
have a podcast or have a digital platform and do Zoom theater. That was all kinds of interesting for a good while there.
Yeah.
And we had to like fight to like. It was like all the big kids came into our sandbox.
I saw that. I noticed that. Trust me, I noticed that, and I was like, okay. But but the workplace is dealing with the same thing. It's just all these workplaces that said, well, you can't work remotely. People can't work at home. We all need to be together. And then all of a sudden, when you couldn't, suddenly you can trust folks to be at home to get them the job done.
Yeah. It's never been about actually doing the work, those kinds of things. It's all about control. It's all power plays. And it's always keeping the marginalized down. Like disabled folks who have needed these kinds of formats, who could have gotten this accommodation like so long ago. And it's only now that people are really recognizing that these things are possible. And that's one of the amazing things, people always are talking about with activism, with social like justice work. Like it's not enough to just point and say there's a problem there. We have to think creatively. That's why artists are so important. That's why I love working with artists so much. I love working with folks like you so much, because like the way y'all think about things, like it takes so much imagination. It takes so much imagination to really talk through and find solutions to these massive problems that we face. And that's one thing that I love too about Parsnip, because I love audio theater, because Yvonne says this a lot of, where it's like people in America don't really know how to listen. They don't really know how to engage their imagination in that way. And like the more we listen to radio plays, the more we listen to audio, the more it forces our brains to continue to think creatively and in a little bit different ways. And we always need more of that. We always need more of that.
I mean, it's just like I work in public radio, right? Like when I was there in October, I was working in Kansas City as a radio reporter. And then I took this job in Louisville to be the lead producer of the weekly live talk show here. So it's audio. So audio is exactly how people, because audio and TV are the two things where people, if they're stuck at home all day, working, whatever, they can listen to the world. Even when you can't go out in the world, you can listen to the world. So, I mean, I have a bigger appreciation for sound than I ever had before. So anyway.
Well, anyway, speaking of appreciation, I appreciate your play, Buried Roots, so much. It's one of my favorites that I've gotten to work on with Parsnip. I've been Parsnip for like almost exactly 2 years now. It's been such a joy, and yours was one of the most fun to work on. I don't know if I'm supposed to play favorites. Am I not supposed to say that? Am I allowed
You're not
to
supposed to say that. You're not supposed to play favorites, but it's okay if my play is one of the favorites. But you can't say that. You can't say that.
It is one of those. It is one of those things that your play is about family and the way we think about family. Especially with, the way family kind of gets displaced from ourselves, from each other, which, is something that like a lot of Black Americans can really identify with. And I know I can really identify with, I don't even know a lot of my family history. It's gone. That's the way it is for a lot of us. So, it is this kind of topic to kind of have a special place, for me. And it was such a joy. Like it was so fun. Running your episode as well. Parsnip is always fun. I've never had a bad experience with a Parsnip episode, but it was a great time, and I'm so excited to revisit it tonight.
Yay.
Gonna listen to some amazing play, some amazing music, and another interview from you as well that you did with Yvonne. I know that. Yep. So thank you so much for chatting with me. It's so good to see. We need to talk more often.
Yes, we do.
We gotta do some virtual drinks or something again.
Absolutely. We'll do it virtually, and then as soon as I can get my ass to New York again, I will be there, and I will have a charged up phone. I will be fully vaccinated and with a fully charged phone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with me, for chatting with me. Now gonna turn it over.
Okay, tell everybody I said hello. Bye. And congrats to my girl Yvonne. Congrats
to Yvonne. We'll take her out for drinks too when you come to New York. We'll all buy her a drink. For her new position at Signature Theater, Director of Artistic Program.
But she's still doing Parsnip.
She's still Parsnip. She's still here. She's just also growing. She's exploring new stuff too with all.
That's okay.
Life goes on. Life finds a way, and she's doing amazing things. We're super, super excited for her. Super happy for her.
Great. Okay, well, you tell her I said hello.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely. She's in the chat. Say hello in the chat. But we're gonna turn over.
Okay.
We're gonna turn over to the live broadcast of Michelle Tyrene Johnson's Buried Roots. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live radio play broadcast of The Parsnip Ship Presents Buried Roots by Michelle Tyrene Johnson, directed by Cezar Williams with music by Marie Gabrielle. This episode was recorded live in Brooklyn, New York in October 2019 and is produced by The Parsnip Ship and Business Lunch Productions. To listen to more episodes of The Parsnip Ship and to support our mission of amplifying bold artists for audiences who crave accessible stories and storytellers, please visit our website, theparsnipship.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at The Parsnip Ship NY to stay up to date on all things Parsnip, including upcoming broadcasts, happy hours, and more. New plays, new music. This is how we hear theater. Without further ado, Buried Roots. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Parsnip Ship. I'm Yvonne E. Devery, and tonight is the second episode of our 5th season. And we are thrilled to be featuring female playwrights this season, all female playwrights. Give it up for the ladies. We are recording tonight's reading at the Mark O'Donnell Theater in the Actors Fund Arts Center in downtown Brooklyn. Thank you again for hosting us and supporting the Parsnip Ship again this season. Gotta give it up. All right, and tonight we are hearing Buried Roots by Tyrene Johnson. Hi. Directed by Cezar Williams. And we have the amazing, badass Marie Gabrielle as our musician tonight. And you may know Marie from our episode of Policarpa by Diana Bourbano. So we're really excited to welcome her back again. We would like to start our night by asking our playwright one question before we get into the show, which is, what would the world be missing if it didn't have this play, Michelle?
An opportunity for me to meet so many of my playwright friends in person who I never get to see in person. But in reality, it would probably miss a play that explores how Black people have a complicated relationship with trying to trace back their roots. Mm. It's not as simple as, 23 DNA, I can go back 50,000 generations back to Eve. It's more like, ooh, this abruptly stopped. And then sometimes it stops on the other end. So it's not just an upward lack of being able to trace your roots. Mm. It's a sideways lack of being able to trace your roots. Mm.
That's beautiful. And we're going to get into that during the interview. We're going to get into that. Let's get started with our night with our first song by Marie Gabrielle.
Thank you. I remember you back in Houston, 82, with your beat-up cowboy hat and your thrift shop cowboy boots. Stayed up all night with a bottle of wine, singing songs till the morning broke. We laughed all day until we cried and ate pecans from Tom's backyard. Restless angel, don't let them clip your wings. Restless angel, you are the songs you sing. Well, we cruised your Mercury all the way to New Orleans, across Lake Pontchartrain. It was the longest bridge I'd ever seen. We were broke, we lived hard and fast, we were free, but we made it last. Restless angel, don't let them clip your wings. Restless angel, You are the songs you sing. Oh, the days became the nights, and the dreams were always there for free. And the passion in your eyes left me more than a memory. Restless angel, don't let them clip your wings. Restless angel, you are the songs you sing. Oh, I remember you back in Houston, 82.
I'm Daryl. I'll be reading stage directions.
Hi, I'm Malikha Mallette. I'm playing Jaime McBride.
Hi, I'm Sarita Covington, and I'll be playing Belinda Corker and Offstage Woman.
My name is Grant Machan. I'll be reading Drake.
Hi, my name is Jay Mazyck. I'll be reading Theo Corker.
And I'm Cezar Williams, and I'll be reading Offstage Man.
Buried Roots, written by Tyrene Johnson. Characters: Jaime McBride, college professor, black woman, 50s. Drake Winston, Jamie's husband, white man, 50s. Theo Corker, Jamie's student, black man, 20s. Belinda Corker, Theo's mother, black woman, 50s. Offstage man, black man who sounds middle-aged. Offstage woman, younger adult, black woman. Setting bounces between classrooms, the upscale living room of Jamie and Drake, and the dingy living room of Theo and Belinda. The light shift scene changes are not meant to be realistic shifts. Time and place, large city in the Midwest in 2030. Act 1, Scene 1. These are two offstage voices.
This was not the plan.
None of this was ever the plan.
Hey, don't get smart with me, woman.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child, man. Look, what I meant was...
What I mean is, those are the proper words for you to say. What I mean is, say it. Say it.
What I mean is...
That's more like it. You're the one that's supposed to have had a fancy education. So finish the sentences. What do you mean?
I want to keep it.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going to keep it.
No, you are not.
Yes, I am.
You are not, and this is not up for discussion.
There isn't a damn thing you can do about it. You have no say.
Little girl, when have you ever known Solomon Corker to have no say over anything?
Scene 2. Jamie sits head down in an empty classroom at the professor's desk next to a lectern. Theo walks in tentatively carrying a backpack.
Is this Geno Basics?
Jamie doesn't look up.
Excuse me, ma'am. Is this the Geno Basics classroom?
Jamie looks up.
No.
I'm sorry, my schedule said it was in this room.
First, the name of the class is Basics of Genealogical Research. Specificity matters, especially in genealogy.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's not ma'am, it's Professor McBride. Class ended 11 minutes ago.
I didn't realize your name's... Anyway, sorry, Professor. Totally misread my schedule.
My name threw you off.
No. Yes. Well, maybe.
You didn't think I would be black or a woman. Happens all the time. So what year are you?
What year am I?
What year are you? Assuming that I let you take this class after missing the first one, I guarantee you that the inquiries get far more rigorous and the answers are expected to be more agile.
I'm a senior. Professor, I really need this class, okay? Let me be honest. So what had happened
You
was...
probably should have led with truth or some version of it. Once you said you were a senior, that made it highly improbable that you misread your schedule.
I just got out of a meeting with an advisor. To graduate this December, I need to take a science course. She found this for me.
Why aren't you graduating in May?
Because I didn't take a basic science course.
You need to warm up your full disclosure muscles if you want to be in my class.
I hate science. Always have. Biology in high school is the last science class I ever wanted to take. But I can't get around it.
You can't get around what? Really, young man, you're wasting the tiny window of opportunity you've crawled through to convince me of anything.
I'm being straight. I really need to take this class to get my degree.
In what area of study are you receiving your degree?
International relations.
Please don't tell me you want to go to law school. It's not the road to abundant riches or instant credibility. The years that Trump was president was the last time society entertained a working excess of attorneys.
No law school for me. At least not yet.
Why international relations?
I like to travel.
So you travel a lot?
No, I don't travel at all. I guess I should have said that I want to travel.
And you think a degree in international relations is an airline ticket?
In the hood where I'm from, since I'm not a baller, I figured this might get me a job where people run me my money to travel.
I'm not your advisor. I'm asking more than I need to know to decide whether or not to let you in my class. It's your lucky day.
You letting me in?
2 students didn't show up on the first day. I'm feeling generous. Let me see your student ID chip to add your name to the computer roster.
Theo hands what looks like a small flash drive to Jamie. Jamie puts it into her laptop. She is visibly impacted by what she sees, but immediately tries to cover.
Thelonious Corker. That's an unusual name.
I just go by Theo.
Theo it is. Here's a copy of my syllabus. I need you to read the first chapter and write a 2-page paper sent to my email by not a second later than 4 p.m. on the day before the next class. If I don't promptly receive it, you won't be in this class. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't disappoint me, Mr. Corker.
Scene 3. Scene shifts to the merged dining room living area of Belinda and Theo. Belinda sits in a retail work uniform with an ID badge on, tired and drinking a cheap beer at the worn, cheap dining room table. The dining room furniture is low-end working class.
Boy, you disappointing the hell out of me. You know I don't want to hear a whole lot of foolishness as soon as I get home.
Mama, I said she's a sister. You realize this will be the first Black woman I've had teaching me at this school?
I've lost track of my days. This is the night my lawyer lady show come on, right?
The Black one or the white one?
The white woman with the cop family.
That's tomorrow night. The Black lawyer lady is tonight. Anyway, I practically had to beg her to let me in her class so I can graduate. I mean, graduate late, but graduate.
See, this why you need a woman. Tell her all your little school business too.
Never mind.
Stop acting like you ain't ever had no Black people teaching your ass. You had plenty of Black folks teaching you up all through school. Shit, nigga, you around a Black woman every time you drag your ass home.
I know, Mama, but this is college. It's been nothing but white people.
Whose fault is that?
I know.
I said, whose fault is that?
I heard you, Mama.
You the one that wanted to go there so bad. Still don't know why you didn't try to go for a basketball scholarship or shit, even a track scholarship.
Mama, I wasn't that good.
You were good enough.
This isn't like the old days when rich white folks could buy their way into an athletic scholarship.
You know they still doing that shit.
Well, even deeper undercover now. Besides, we ain't got no money to pay nobody off. If they want you, they recruit you.
Like Dewey.
Like Dewey.
That boy gonna be set for life.
So you keep saying. That's true that he gonna be set for reoccurring head injuries for life.
You don't know that. Stop being so jealous.
I ain't jealous of big-headed Dewey. I'm trying to tell you about my new professor in the class. I thought it would be boring, but I read the first chapter
and it's already boring to me.
Right.
Baby, give me another beer.
Don't you want to get out that uniform first? You've been...
Boy, bring me a beer. I'm going to need another one if you're going to keep going on about school.
I'll shut up.
Baby, don't be like that.
Scene 4. Scene shifts to Jamie and Drake in their very upper-class living room.
Honey, don't be like that.
I'm trying to tell you about this huge coincidence that walked into my classroom today, and you keep changing the subject.
I'm not changing the subject. I'm interjecting new ones.
Please don't play corporate negotiator with me.
And please don't bring up my job as a dig professor.
Oh, so that wasn't a dig.
No, mine was just a reminder that you're better than that.
Better than what exactly?
Why does it feel as if you're trying to pick an unnecessary fight with me?
Actually, it's a necessary fight if you won't let me talk about this for 2 minutes without interrupting me with something else.
I'm listening.
Really?
Really? So this kid just walked into your classroom. You had no idea it was him.
How would I? I was this close to letting him walk out the door without knowing.
And maybe that would have been for the best.
Aha! The real reason you keep interrupting me. You don't want to hear about this because you're upset that I found him.
You didn't find him. He wandered in by chance.
By chance.
You think he knows?
There's absolutely no way he could.
I'm not upset. Not exactly. I have always had a problem with the ethics of this. You could lose your government clearance.
How many times will you remind me of that?
I had stopped with the reminders, even though you seem to keep forgetting how much the laws have changed in the past few years. But now...
Now what? Just say it, Drake.
I don't know what you think you can be accomplished by taking information off the computer screen and trying to mold it into a living human being who's now taking your class.
There is so much wrong with what you just said. First of all, I think it's really insensitive that you reduced what I came across as just information off the computer screen. And
I should not have put it that way. I'm sorry. It's
no,
just that...
Let me finish. And I'm not trying to mold anyone into anything. He's a real life human being and I can't unknow what I now know.
Are you going to tell him?
I don't plan on telling him anything.
I know this isn't a deposition.
No, it's not.
But if it were, a lawyer would pounce all over the wiggle room that rests in what you're saying, that you don't plan on telling him anything.
Drake, I'm not. His secret is safe. Or is it my secret?
Under the law, now it's the secret of anyone and everyone.
Are we going to play Da Vinci Code all night? I'd rather just watch the movie again.
No, you wouldn't. That's a weak try, my love. You improperly used a database that you have access to only because of your government contract. I keep telling you.
I know, you keep telling me again and again and again. It's like the second half of one of your Law and Order episodes.
Stop acting like you don't love Lenny Briscoe, too. Anyway, let's shift this conversation. Google or Alexa or that new Jason device might overhear and send the audio of this conversation to the CIA. Look, as you said, a real live human being walked through your door and you think this is going to be the end of it.
Actually, I do.
Honey, he's a student in your class.
You have to admit, though, this is one hell of a coincidence. I mean, I couldn't have constructed this if I tried.
You didn't, did you?
It happened exactly the way I told you it happened. Are you calling me a liar?
Of course not. You're the most honest woman I've ever met. The reason I abandoned my plan to live the rest of my days as a dashing divorced bachelor.
The word is divorcee with an accent.
I thought that was just a divorced woman.
No. I want to just make sure we're clear on this. I'm intrigued, not stupid. My improper access, as you keep calling it, we're just about looking up information, not actively doing anything with it once I found it.
Oh my God. That's a moral distinction that only a certain former White House holder with a bad comb over could have said with a straight tweet.
He may not be president anymore, but I know you are not comparing me to him. Not if you want to get any for the rest of this calendar year.
Moving in for a seductive embrace.
I plan to get any and plenty.
Well, alrighty then. Now that we understand each other.
Oh, we understand each other. I just need you to be careful with this.
Scene 5. In the classroom, sounds of other students leaving as Theo stays behind to talk to Jamie.
You just need to be careful in how you have these conversations.
Why? Because these white people can't handle the truth? Not my problem.
I'm not saying that you're incorrect. I'm just saying that you need to learn the weapon of diplomacy when certain topics come up, especially if you say you want to go into international relations. Sometimes diplomacy starts at home.
I guess. But when you talk about bloodlines and how people are connected, I get so mad at these folks who get smug about how far they can trace their roots back. Well, shit, I mean, shoot, we Black people would love to trace our people back too. But we got shoved on a boat, didn't get to walk onto one.
You are right. But in this classroom, those folks, as you call them, are paying students too. Students who have no idea that their clear lineage isn't a given for everyone.
But don't you get tired? Tired of letting them brag about family while acting all clueless and innocent about ours?
That's why I don't let the classroom conversations stray to the personal. Today was an example of why.
But how many Black students take this class? How many of any kind of folks that ain't white take this class?
Not very many.
Maybe that's why the conversations in here rarely get that heated then. Bo talking about how his people came from Scotland ain't exactly gonna have a throwdown with Brock, who comes from Ireland.
You do have a point, but I still expect you to manage these conversations better, all things considered.
What do you mean?
A major in international relations. Why is that a draw for you, if you don't mind my asking?
Nah. I'm just glad somebody's interested. My mom thinks it's the craziest thing in the world. She thinks my cousin getting his brains bashed in to play football makes more sense.
But what does your mother do?
She's a cashier at Family Dollar. I can't stand that place. Nothing costs $1.
Your mother may not have sufficient exposure to understand your goals, and I may not either. But explain it to me. I can tell from the way you were taking to this class that something has inspired you.
Back when we had cable, I used to always watch Travel Channel. The further away, the better. Paris, Morocco, London, Amsterdam, Prague, the Northern Lights, Australia, and of course, Africa. Not that safari mess, though. I want to see the places with people that look like us. I saw this special on this city called Lome in some country called I can't remember.
Togo, West Africa.
You've heard of it? Have you been there? I bet you have.
No, just studied it as part of a genealogy project. I agree with you that the place sounds fascinating.
My mama walked through the room once when I was watching this special, and when they showed that market where they sold voodoo stuff, I'm surprised she didn't get rid of cable on the spot. Anyway, I want to see all those places someday.
But there are other ways to travel, like being a flight attendant or a travel agent or...
You thinking I can't do international relations?
I don't think it's a matter of can't. Theo, tell me what you think it is.
Well, I think it's learning about people and helping them get along, no matter how different they are.
Do you do that now?
I do with my boys all the time. One of them got beef with another one, I end up talking both of them down, and then boom, it's over.
Okay, that's great. You're a mediator.
I never thought of it that way before, but yeah, I guess I am.
So at this point, you've declared your major, though. You're sure?
No.
Has your advisor discussed any of this with you?
Please, I just got a new one anyway. These advisors don't take us seriously. The only reason my advisor mentioned this class to me was because she was sick of me bugging her about how to get out of taking a science class to graduate.
The good thing is that you can get a mediation certificate after you graduate. You don't necessarily need to obtain another degree, but we need to get you on a summer internship.
That sounds great, but I don't even know how to get one of those.
What foreign language classes have you taken?
I took a couple of semesters of Spanish.
Are you fluent?
I've been known to order a cerveza or two in my day. And my boy Manuel has taught me more than the classes.
That's a start.
I wanted to ask you about something you never talk about in class.
My advice to you is don't tee up your question, just ask it. Find a way to ask that is direct but not brusque.
Why do you even find this genealogy stuff interesting?
You don't?
It's more interesting than I thought it would be, but you seem to find it fascinating.
Note a projection for the audience to see of still life photos from the different eras and places as Jamie passionately talks in this fellow monologue.
I look at someone's genealogy records and I don't just see names and dates of birth and marriages and deaths. I see stories. I see people connected through time. Mary Smith is born to Samantha and Frank Smith in the 1990s. Samantha Blythe, before she became Smith, was born to Samuel Blythe from Portland, Oregon, and Jessica Cullen Blythe from Kansas City, Missouri. Frank Smith's parents are from Independence, Missouri, and Jersey City, New Jersey. So Mary Smith, born in a time of boy bands and Game Boys, comes into existence because people from Oregon and Missouri and New Jersey converged. And let's not even talk about the parents and grandparents before them. All these leaves and branches and roots going back to other lands, other times. Whether you go forward or backward, there's one narrative after another of chance meetings, arranged marriages, lust at first sight, lust at last sight, Hundreds of necessary timings where if even one connection didn't happen, Mary Smith wouldn't exist, or she would end up with an entirely different collection of DNA.
Wow. I didn't know you could get all romantic with this ancestry stuff.
It's not all romantic. Sometimes a chain in the link that created a Mary Smith involves rape or incest, tacky affairs, subjugation, slavery, colonizing, or connections that Disney will never make a movie about.
That's a downer.
It's real. We each get here because two people came together at least one time. No matter whether someone was legally adopted, informally taken in by strangers or family or neighbors, even kidnapped. We all get here pair by pair. Whether the two people celebrated a 70th wedding anniversary, whether the two people had a one-night stand or shared stolen afternoons, the math always adds up.
Okay, Professor, I'm even more confused.
About what?
Whether you are romantic or a total cynic.
I'm a cynical romantic.
I got one more question for you.
I assume that you know that the proper way to frame that sentence is, I have one more question for you.
Yeah, I have one more question for you.
Ask away.
Professor, don't take this the wrong way.
Teeing up the question again. But let me guess. Why do I care?
Yeah.
You're the one who stays after every class to talk. Why do you?
She scores a 3-point shot, but I got a good excuse.
And that would be?
I only get one black teacher in college. You got students coming out the ears.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do have other students, and I need you to get along with them.
Why?
Because during class, we are the only two black people in the room, and I'm going to need you to represent.
Scene 6. Scene changes back to the living room of Jamie and Drake.
I can't believe I told him that he needs to represent. Oh, God. First of all, I don't even know if kids use that term anymore.
If it popped out of your mouth that easily, then yes, the kids don't use that word anymore.
I don't know why I tell you anything.
You tell me everything because I tell you the truth. So you're telling me that you're not even tempted to confess?
I am not tempted to tell him.
I don't believe you.
You're right. I'm tempted, but I'm not going to do it. It wouldn't benefit him.
From what you're telling me, he'd get an incredible benefit.
He's getting the best of both worlds right now. Me without the complications.
True. His mother sounds like she would make this tragically ugly.
I don't think that's the best way to characterize it. She doesn't know any of the story. I at least know some of it.
The ugliest part. Don't you want to tell the truth? Be open?
I would love to tell the truth. I would love to have a Hallmark Channel movie moment so sweet we would have to make an emergency visit to Maurice's appointment to have cavities filled. But
what?
I just can't. I can't explain ancient history and expect everyone to understand.
And there's no way you could tell him and ask him to keep it from her?
That's honestly why I'm not that tempted. Because I wouldn't want to put him in that position.
You know, you really would have made a good mother, putting his interests first.
Except for changing diapers, the terrible twos, cleaning up both ends of the kid, puberty, acne, sex ed, helping with math homework.
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Already forgotten. So, what are we doing for dinner since neither of us has started cooking? Thai or Cuban? Since you picked last time, I say...
Chili over at DJ's house. Did you forget?
That's tonight?
It's always been tonight because you know that Peter always cooks dinner for his brother's birthday.
I lost track of what the date is.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, interesting?
You can forget the birthday of my youngest son and the dinner party my oldest son throws for him every year, but you remember in uncanny detail 100-year-old birth certificate information and archival census data.
Old and archival information is my job.
And remembering my family info isn't.
Your family. You said it.
Because clearly that's what you meant.
Drake, honey, we've been over this a million times. Your sons aren't children. They were in college when we met, and they are both well into their 30s now. Not to mention that other little issue. Besides, I'm surprised DJ keeps up the tradition.
Drake stands up and starts to exit.
What's the big deal? I forgot. You reminded me. We'll head out in a few minutes.
Great. I'll try to hold up family enthusiasm enough for the both of us.
If you're going to be like that, maybe I should just stay home. It's not as if either DJ or Peter would care. Or did you forget about that?
I don't forget anything about family.
Drake exits. Scene 7. Scene changed to the living room of Belinda and Theo. A few weeks have passed.
I don't like some woman I don't even know messing with my family.
How's it messing with your family, Mama? She just set me up for a summer internship. That's all.
That's all. It's out of town. We can't afford that.
I keep telling you, it's a paid internship. It's not much, but it will cover my living expenses.
Why couldn't she get you one at home then? You ain't got to pay a dime living here.
It doesn't work like that. She had to find someone who already had an internship program. The closest one she found for me is in St. Louis.
What am I supposed to do without you all summer?
Mama, I graduate in almost a year. This is a good time for you to get used to me not being around.
Right.
What's that supposed to mean?
You really think you're gonna find a job doing that nonsense you always talking about? You better hope they still hiring over at Amazon. Peaches told me Goldie makes almost $13 an hour over there.
I'm not going to work at Amazon sorting through packages.
Oh, you think you're too good to work with your hands? I wish I could make that kind of money.
Why don't you apply?
You trying to be a smart ass boy? Because you ain't too big for me to beat your ass right here now.
No, I'm not. I'm serious. Just apply. You might get the job.
That's a ditty ass teacher woman putting foolishness in your head. That's what the problem is. She got any kids?
What that have to do with the price of tea in Amsterdam?
It's the price of tea in China. Don't be a smart ass. So do she?
Do she what?
Have kids. Keep up, college boy.
I don't know. Maybe. Probably. I mean, I don't know.
She got a man?
I don't know that either. Wait. She does wear a wedding ring, I think. I think that's a wedding ring.
That's something, I guess.
What you talking about?
Don't make sense. A woman her age taking all this interest and such in a child your age. How old she be again?
I don't know. Maybe your age, a little younger.
She gonna be with you in St. Louis?
Not really. She says she would come through from time to time for research.
Research my ass.
Speaking of research,
we weren't.
We kind of were.
No, we wasn't. What you want, boy?
You don't talk much about my daddy.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering.
And I ain't starting now.
I didn't ask you anything yet.
If I wanted you to know about him, don't you think you would know by now?
Maybe you thought I was too young.
Is this some psychologic test or whatever it's called? To get me to talk about something I don't want to talk about?
I mean, it's not like I don't have a right to know.
All right. I'm going to say this slow and low, boy, so you remember it.
Just forget I said it.
I'm not going to forget a goddamn thing. You got a right to breathe. I let that happen when I didn't have to. You got a right to have food in your belly. I done let that happen for the past 20 years too. You got a right to learn how to read and write and do some arithmetic so you can grow up, get a job, and take care of your damn self. I think I'm more than done covered that.
Belinda goes to a drawer and gets something to write with and something to write on. She's not angry, but she moves with more deliberateness than we have seen so far. She writes quickly on something and shoves it towards Theo.
I'm giving you your daddy's name. Not because I think you have a right to nothing. It's my business, just my business. But that is how you got here, and I don't ever want to hear about this shit again.
Theo looks down at the name.
This is a pretty common name. You don't have any...
That's all I got. Maybe I should have given you that sooner, but I didn't. What this about all of a sudden?
It's not really all of a sudden. I mean, I am taking a genealogy class. It's natural that I'm curious.
What that gene should be again?
Ancestry. History. Where people come from.
Here's where you come from. Your name is Thelonious Jermaine Corker. You came out of your mama's poo-tang.
Mama.
Your mama's poo-tang. Me. Belinda Dolores Corker. Your no good daddy was a hit it and quit it nigga. So even with that piece of paper you got now, the only name you need to worry yourself about is mine and your granddaddy's, Jebediah Solomon Corker, because that's who I let name you. And daddy always liked him some Thelonious Monk. My mama's name was Josephine Corker, and her mama's name before that was Josephine. So there you go. Where your people be from. Again, don't ask me no more shit about this.
It's a bit more complicated than that. Real ancestry research can go back hundreds of years back to where our people are from in Africa.
Here we go. See, this is that school foolishness that I'm talking about. I saw Roots. I don't need to hear a damn thing more about slavery.
We go back further than slavery, Mama. We were powerful men and women living free.
Well, too bad we ain't now.
Scene 8. Shift to classroom. Theo after class, talking to Jamie.
Too bad we ain't now. That's what she said.
That's too bad. It sounds like your mother's attitude is merely reflecting her worldview as she knows it. Are you really that curious about your origins?
I would like to know more about my daddy. Do you think you could use this ancestry stuff to find him?
First of all, you're about to do an internship, a coveted internship recommended by me. So you can't go in there using language like this ancestry stuff.
My bad. Do you think we could use the ancestry tools that you have access to so I can find my pops?
That's better.
So can you?
That's complicated.
So that's no.
It's a that's complicated.
Why?
Let's talk about the why before we get to the how.
Okay, I think.
Ancestry is about assessing the facts of existence.
I know.
I don't think you do.
I'm not a child professor. I know about biology, and I've had a lady friend or two.
No doubt, young man. And way too much information. Let me put it this way. Remember that Mary Smith example I gave you? I talked about how her mother, Samantha, and father, Frank, came together and they conceived her as part of their marriage?
Yeah, of course. I was hoping you could have come up with a less corny name than Mary Smith.
Theo, her name is unimportant. It doesn't matter whether her name was Maria or Monique or Maya. For my point, what's important is that Mary Smith's parents had a path that had nothing to do with her before it had everything to do with her. They met and had an attraction, either emotional or physical or both. And from that attraction, they developed a relationship that involved a love and commitment that inevitably led to that particular Mary Smith being born.
That's what I'm talking about.
Except that this is not necessarily what you were talking about. You see, what I'm talking about is parenting, being a family. What happens to the Mary Smiths of the world when there was not a lasting connection? Where Frank Smith turns out to be a cruel and crass man who doesn't care about Samantha and certainly doesn't care about the baby he fathered. You can find out who is next on the paternal side of your ancestry tree, but that's not going to give you the name of your parent, of your family.
I hear you, but what if my father is a good man?
Did your mother tell you whether or not he knew she was pregnant with you?
I kind of got the impression that he knew.
Then trust me, he's not a good man. At least at the time, he wasn't a good man.
Man, Prof, you know how to break it down.
I'm not trying to be cruel.
I know you're not. But you're still not going to help me find him, are you?
In a nutshell, it would all depend upon whether your father or any of his other relatives were in the database.
How do they get in the database?
When I started doing this work, getting in the database was mostly voluntary. But a few years ago, there began to be this push to cross-reference the various databases that collected information through blood and made it illegal to allow someone without consent to have their blood used for ancestry links.
But you can find out information, right? I heard you talking to another professor about that.
That's because I consult for the government and have a special clearance. These days, I can get in a lot of trouble for looking up information not specifically delineated in my contract.
So it's that serious, eh?
I wish I could, but...
But what?
So why do you want to find your father?
I don't know. I've just never met him, and I want to know.
You want to know what?
How I'm like him. Do I look like him? Sound like him? Does he like the same things I like? How much of me isn't like my mother? Not that there is anything wrong with my mother, but I just want to know.
You're curious about nature versus nurture. I certainly get that.
What does that mean?
Just a way of trying to figure out how much of you is how you are because of the way and the people who raised you, and how much springs from your DNA.
I guess that is it.
So are you getting excited about your internship?
I don't know if I would say excited. Still not sure what they want with me.
You have strong computer skills, a good instinct for unraveling loose threads until you get to the root of what you were looking for. And when you choose, unlike sometimes in my class, you are good with people.
I'm sorry about class, but these arrogant, know-it-all white boys get on my nerves.
You do realize that part of the problem is that the white boys are jealous because of the amount of positive attention you attract from the comely white female students in class.
Comely?
Attractive.
Oh, well, my mama says white women are the devil.
Your mother sounds full of bon mot.
What's that?
It's French and it means witty remarks.
You don't like my mother much.
Why would you say that? I've never met her.
No, but it's clear. Look, she's not educated like you. She doesn't have all the opportunities you done had to get yours.
Young man, you don't know what opportunities I've had or have not had. You know nothing about my nature or nurture. What you are picking up on about my feelings is that I'm afraid that your mother has passed on to you some questionable perspectives about the world that will not serve you well.
What you saying?
I don't know if life as you know it is the best preparation for you going out in the world.
I know you are not trying to talk shit about my mama or the way I was raised.
Your language tells me that you're really upset with me.
Damn right.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. Everything I'm trying to say to you comes out wrong.
Theo angrily exits. Scene 9. Scene shifts to living room of Jamie and Drake.
Everything came out wrong. I should never have said anything.
Are you trying to sabotage your relationship with him, or do you have that much resentment for her?
You of all people are defending him and his mother? You're the one questioning how deep I'm finding myself in with Theo.
I don't approve, but I love you too much to be delighted that you are walking into inevitable pain.
How do I tell him the truth without involving her too?
In every piece of literature known to man
Or woman.
People with dubious origins seek out their birth parents or even their birth siblings, but not you. You want to have a relationship with a birth nephew.
Actually, honey, my origins aren't dubious. I know exactly who my mother and my genetic supplier are. It's my blood sister who doesn't know she has a bonus sister because, to get very trite, which breaks house rules,
Papa was a rolling stone.
only he never laid his hat in my mother's home.
You have no desire to know your sister.
Half sister.
Didn't you once tell me, more than once, that only white people casually and conversationally split those kind of biological hairs?
This is different.
Of course it is.
I'm serious. This isn't a half sister where I have a relationship with her and the parent we share.
I understand. Everything is in the dark. Everyone is in the dark except you.
I'm waiting.
For what?
For the I told you so. Because but for me violating protocol, I'd be blissfully in the dark too.
My I told you so should be like a fine mist that hangs gently in the air whenever you leave the condo. But I don't want you to suffer.
I'm not suffering.
Honey.
I'm not suffering.
Since the day I met you.
The luckiest day of your life.
The luckiest moment of my life. I've seen you work through many emotions. You're slow to get angry, but at least I've seen you get there.
True. Anger is not my go-to emotion.
I've seen you despondent even.
When you live long enough, the goodbyes tug on your soul just a little bit harder each time.
That's something your mother would have said. And I know you still miss her, and I do too.
Losing your parents may be the cycle of life, but that is one cycle I hate.
But you like the cycles of joy and peace, curiosity, and a whole long strata of other emotions.
This is not your line of expertise.
I'm serious, Jamie.
Fine, but what are you getting at?
What I've never seen you grapple with is indecision. I've never seen you stumped by feeling conflicted. And since you met your nephew, you've been drowning in both.
Theo. Since I've met Theo.
Since you've met Theo, your nephew, I've seen you indecisive and conflicted.
Thanks, I think.
And sorry, honey, neither of these is a good look on you.
There goes that unconditional love.
Unconditional love is not love that wears a sleep mask and earplugs.
Poetic again.
Realism can be poetic.
I'm going to just let this go. As far as everyone is concerned, he's not family. I'm just his teacher.
Scene 10. Scene shifts to classroom. Jamie and Belinda are in Jamie's classroom, facing off.
He's not your family. You're just his teacher. Stay out of his business.
You're upset because I helped your son get a paid internship?
Out of town.
That's where it is. St. Louis is just a 4-hour drive away.
Just a 4-hour drive. Just 4 hours away. You gonna pay for us to have a car to get there? Or pay for the bus or the train?
Why are you making this so personal? Do you have any idea how internships work?
I don't. And I don't care. Let me guess. You live in a big fancy house, right? You jump on and off planes to go to St. Louis and anywhere else you want to go, don't you?
Actually, I don't fly to St. Louis. When I go, I drive. And I'm a college professor at a public university. That doesn't exactly make me rich.
I see that fancy wedding ring you got. Your husband just a teacher too?
I don't see what my husband has to do with anything.
Oh, I bet he ain't a teacher. Let me guess. A big businessman. No, a doctor. Nah, a lawyer. Yeah, what I thought, a lawyer.
Not all lawyers are rich.
By the way you said that, your man is. Anyway, just stay away from my son.
Your son is a bright, intuitive young man who you are underestimating. I opened a door for him, but he's the one that walked right through it. He will be there because of him, not me.
Don't you talk about my son like you know him. Your ass sure as hell don't know him better than I know him. I just want you to keep your big ideas and your big load of bullshit out of his head.
Usually I have parents meeting with me to talk me into raising their college-age child's grades or to beg me to get them an internship or write a better recommendation letter for them. You are the only parent who meets with me to degrease the wheel. What are you really afraid of, Belinda?
How you know my name?
You mentioned it, or maybe Theo mentioned it.
So in passing, Theo mentioned my name?
Yes, that's it.
And after he mentioned it, you remembered it?
I really don't know how I know. Remembered how I remembered. Does it really matter?
I don't know, does it?
Look, I don't mean to be rude.
But you about to be.
No, I'm not. I was just going to tell you that my class is about to start.
I won't allow you to take my son.
Take? You're being ridiculous.
Maybe I am, maybe I ain't.
I really don't know why you resent the help I'm giving your son.
Just stay away from him.
He's my student, and he thinks of me as a mentor.
Whatever. I want you to stay away from my son, and I'll do whatever I have to.
What's that supposed to mean?
You the big-time college professor, you tell me. Maybe I'll go tell your boss that you hitting on my son. I think you would get in some big trouble for that. It may be 2030, but that Me Too thing from all those years ago is about to make a comeback, I hear.
You would look mentally disturbed.
Maybe. But if it keep you away from Theo, it'd be worth it.
So is all this because I know your first name? Or because I helped your almost old enough to legally smoke and drink son get an internship?
All I need you to do is stay your sedity ass away from my boy.
Theo did tell me some about your background.
Like what?
You, not knowing his father, his grandparents.
He just brought that up?
Yes.
He got a lot of nerve. And none of that is your damn business.
This is a course about researching basic genealogy, ancestry. If I talk to any of my students long enough, their family comes up.
Okay, then. Who your people?
Excuse me?
You so busy expecting everybody else to tell their business, what you call it, their ancestry. I'm asking, where you from? You black. I'm black. Maybe I knows your people.
I doubt it.
You think you too good to know my people?
It's not that. It's just complicated.
Who your kin is be complicated? Right.
If only you knew.
Blood ain't complicated.
I wish that were true.
Try me. I'll start. My daddy's name was Jebediah Solomon Corker. He was a big-time minister at the Goldenrod Church of God in Christ.
The two women stare. Theo enters. Seeing his mother in the classroom, he is surprised, shocked even.
Mama, what you doing here?
Talking to your teacher.
His college professor.
There you go again.
What's she do?
What did I do? Look, class is about to start, Theo. Why don't you take a seat? And Belinda, Miss Corker, we can take this up some other time.
Mama, why don't we get out of here? I'll take you to lunch in the Commons. They got an Arby's over there.
Sound of college students getting loud in the hallway.
Class is about to start soon.
Not for me.
We're going over advanced preparation for finals.
I can study for a test on my own. I've done just fine so far.
Theo and Belinda exit the classroom. Shifts to living room of Belinda and Theo.
You didn't have to come back home with me. You could have stayed with your teacher lady. I'm doing just fine.
Mama, what's wrong?
Nothing, baby.
There's something. Look, why did you go see her?
Professor McBride. I bet you thought it was going to be a white man when you walked into that classroom.
That's what she said.
I bet you did.
Why do you hate her so much?
You a college boy? Don't talk stupid.
Why?
Okay, I hate her. There, you happy?
No, I'm not.
What's so special about her?
Who said there was anything special about her?
You realize how much you talk about her? About that class?
Mommy, it's just a class. I can stop talking about it so much if you want me to. Semester is almost over anyhow.
It's because she has all that education.
I really don't know what you are talking about. She's just a lady like you.
She ain't hardly like me. And I damn sure don't want to be like her.
Okay, mama.
Sure, she's classy. Most quiet bitches come classy. So what? I could have been classy too, you know? My mama just didn't have, well, she just didn't have any way of teaching me better.
Nobody said you weren't classy.
I'm not a fool. I ain't.
What about Grandpa?
What about him?
You said he was a good man, but you don't talk much about him.
When did I ever say he was a good man? When? I never said a goddamn thing about him being a good man.
I mean, you always talk about how you let him name me.
I couldn't have stopped that man from naming you if I wanted to. If he wanted to name you Kermit the Frog, that's what your ass would have been called.
I don't understand.
You don't have to understand shit. All you have to do is be black and die. That's it.
I think one of your lawyer lady shows is about to come on. Why don't we?
Why don't you stop talking to me like I'm a child, boy? Like I'm an ignorant child who don't know how to.
Belinda suddenly looks very confused and sits down slowly on the couch while Theo looks at her with worry. Scene shifts to the living room of Jamie and Drake. A few weeks later, Jamie has a pile of tests in front of her.
Why don't you just take a break? Put this to the side.
I'm not prepared for this. What am I going to do?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Is yours?
Jamie, honey, you have no other choice here. Your ethical conundrums have their own family trees now.
Don't.
You know what you're not supposed to know because of unethically using that government database. I told you those tightening laws were going to catch up with you. Now you've developed a relationship with your nephew, even though he doesn't know who he is to you, and neither does his mother. And on top of everything else, you're seriously considering passing him when you would flunk any other student who pulled this.
I just don't know what happened. 1 minute we're fine. He's excited about this area of study. He seems to be loving having me as a mentor. And then his mother rolls up a nasty, smelly, blinding stink bomb in the middle of the room, out of the blue. And I don't know what to do.
Your sister.
His mother.
His mother, which makes her your sister.
My half-sister.
Fail him.
I can't.
You can.
But
he didn't turn in his final paper. He barely passed the final exam, and he's ignoring you.
I can't fail him for no longer speaking to me.
Fine. Don't fail him for poor communications. Fail him for the rest.
He won't get the internship, and it threatens his graduation.
Not your problem.
But he's my nephew.
To you, he is. To you, he's family. Family who isn't speaking to you.
But you're right. He doesn't know.
Finally, I'm right about something.
There's something I've been meaning to tell you.
That would explain my suddenly being right about something.
This isn't for laughs.
Uh-oh.
I didn't want to worry you.
Consider me worried what?
Dylan wants to talk to me Monday morning.
Your department chair wanting to talk to you? Isn't that unusual, is it?
Petra told me on the sly that he's upset about something and that she's pretty sure it involves my government security clearance.
How would she know?
Because she knows he got off the phone with Homeland Security right before he asked her to send me the email about meeting on Monday. I've never known him to ask his secretary to send me a simple email instead of just doing it himself.
Shit. Aren't you worried?
The only thing I'm allowing myself to be worried about is wondering where the cat is. It's unlike him to go missing for so long.
Several months later, beginning of fall semester, scene shifts to Jamie's classroom. Jamie is at her desk. Theo walks in with a backpack.
Hey, Professor. Look what the cat drug in.
Jamie keeps her head down, looking at her papers.
Hey.
Jamie finally looks up.
Professor is a title given to a person who teaches in a college or university setting.
I know.
Typically, it is used by people who respect the work, training, expertise, time given to a person who has earned the title professor.
I'm sorry.
Normally not used by someone who has disappeared from a university class that they need for graduation.
Professor, please.
Normally not used by a student who disappears from class, phones in a paper, and practically blows off the final test.
My mother died.
What?
Right after she came to your office. We went home and had a huge fight.
What? What happened?
Heart attack.
Oh, no. Did she have heart problems?
Who knows? Anyway, I'm sorry. I should have told you. I didn't want you thinking I was making excuses.
Your mother died. That's not an excuse. Please sit down. I am so sorry. My God, it must have been our argument. She was so upset.
My mama fights. Fought all the time. She cussed out the mailman for folding up the bills in the mailbox and then called and cussed out folks at the electric company because the bill was wrong. Only the bill was never wrong. My mama was a good woman, but she was angry all the time. This world didn't give her a chance to be much else.
Are you okay?
Not really. I came out of school today to tell them I wasn't coming back.
What do you mean? You can't do that. You graduate this semester.
First of all, thank you for that. See, I know I didn't deserve it.
You were doing great work up until the very end. Look, you can't quit school. Not this close to the finish line.
I have to. I may hate Family Dollar, but I took for granted all the years they helped my mama keep a roof over our heads. I have to move into a smaller place, and that still takes money.
No, you're not quitting. Theo, I have something to tell you.
End of Act 1.
Baby from across the tracks. He says he loves me and he's coming back. He's got some honey, oh so sweet, and a stinger that'll sting with ease. Comes around to please. I gotta tell him to get off his knees. He's my sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee. He loves the garden when it's in full bloom. He loves to ruzz around my blaze too. He holds me like a flower in his hand. When he goes away, I'm hoping he'll come back to stay. He's my sweet little honeybee. Loves to find my pollen in the spring. Buzz around my pretty little thing. He sniffs around to find a sweet perfume. And he loves to keep my roses in full bloom. Baby from across the tracks. He says he loves me and he's coming back. He's got some honey, oh so sweet, and a stinger that'll sting with ease. Comes around to please. I gotta tell him to get off his knees. It's my sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee. Sweet little honeybee.
Act 2, Scene 1. Stage is dark, as in the beginning of the play. These voices are off stage.
I'm not giving you any money.
I've never asked you for any, ever.
Well, things are different now.
Not when it comes to that. Why are you here? This is my home, and you are not invited.
Where's the baby? I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl.
You don't need to know anything about my baby. Just leave.
Look, woman.
No, you look, man. I didn't so much as put your name on the birth certificate. I don't know how you even found us, but I want you gone. You are corrupt and you are a liar.
Don't you dare talk to me that way, or
what? You'll do nothing. I'm already a Black woman with a baby out of wedlock. There's nothing you can do to me. But if you don't want me walking up to that church with the baby in my arms, crying about how the father is...
Enough!
That's just what I was thinking. Enough. Go before I start screaming bloody murder right here and now, and you can explain why and where you got yourself arrested.
This ain't done.
For a change, it is.
The sound of an angry slam door, followed by the sound of a baby crying. Scene 2. Jamie and Drake are having an intense standoff in the middle of their living room. Drake holds a glass of expensive brown liquor in an expensive glass tumbler.
You couldn't have just given me a call and said, honey, I have something to tell you.
You would have only had 3 hours more notice than when I did tell you.
3 hours is a long time. You know, Gilligan and the gang went on a 3-hour tour that took a long, long time.
A Gilligan's Island reference is not helpful here. Neither is that drink.
Wait, is this starting already? Drinking in my own home is a problem?
I'm just saying he'll be over here any minute, and I want to make a good impression.
Since he already knows you, you must mean you want me to make a good impression.
No, yes. Look, I'm just asking you to...
You're asking me what, Jamie? To let a stranger into our home like he's another stray cat? And where did Mr. Wasabi get off to anyway? Because I thought owning a cat hit the limit of your maternal instincts.
Jamie walks over and pours herself a drink of the same brown liquor Drake has.
I thought you didn't want him to see us drinking.
It wasn't us drinking I was worried about. Honestly, I don't know what I'm worried about.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, what I said.
Why did you? You think I don't have any capacity for mothering?
You've never wanted to before.
How do you know what I wanted? We've had a 5-minute conversation about it while dating. The early dates at that.
You acted as if 5 minutes was all the subject warranted.
I was in my 40s. I had a hysterectomy in my 30s. You already had almost adult children from your previous marriage. What more was I supposed to say?
The truth?
What untruth have I spoken? What truth have I held back?
There is one thing I know about you that I've always known.
And what is that?
You are a brilliant scientist and academic, and a gifted researcher and genealogist, not to mention having that brain housed in that sexy package I'm still madly in love with.
There better not be a but here.
No buts, just an and. And you have the soul of a poet who wears a lot of armor. That I already knew. What I learned today is that you also have the heart of a mother.
Sweetie, I couldn't let him drop out of school. Not when he's this close to finishing and he's in this situation from a sudden tragedy.
I know.
I didn't see any other solution. If he has a place to stay, he doesn't need to drop out to work.
Did you tell him this?
That he's my nephew? Oh, God, no. But just losing his mother, I couldn't lay this on him too.
Why not? It's not your fault. Or your sister's fault. Your father was the dog.
What do I keep telling you? He wasn't my father. He was just a genetic supplier.
Sorry, genetic supplier.
There's one more thing I need to get off my chest before he gets here.
One more thing?
You might want another drink.
I thought you didn't want me holding a drink in my hand when he got here.
I don't. Just thinking one more.
Just tell me.
I already knew that Theo was my nephew when he walked into the classroom.
So you did lie to me?
One lie every 13 years isn't such a bad track record. Besides, he's family. Once I knew he was in the same damn school where I taught, how could I not know him?
How'd you do it?
That was easier than you think. His new advisor is one of my book club members. I introduced her to her husband, so she owed me one solid, non-illegal favor. I just needed her to steer him toward my class, and she did.
Your friend Clarissa. She didn't think that was odd.
I told her a version of the truth, that he was the son of an old friend, and I promised that I would look out for him in this predominantly white institution.
When white people do that, you accuse us of milking our privilege.
Honey, you are all the demographics that don't require you to milk anything. The cow practically rings the doorbell. With Mama gone, I just wanted to meet one blood relative of mine. That's all.
I guess I take it for granted that I got to be a parent.
And I'm not saying I want to mother him. I just want him safe. And I want him to have a future he deserves.
By my definition, that sounds like trying to be a good mother.
Scene 3. Theo alone in his old apartment. He has a backpack and 2 big duffel bags on the couch. He walks around touching things, picking them up, putting them back down. Finally, he picks up a photo in an 8x10 frame of himself and Belinda. To the photo, he speaks.
You tried. You tried to be a good mother. And in your own way, you were. I don't know if you'll see it, if you know, but I'll keep trying to be a son you could be proud of. Love you, Mama.
Theo gently puts the photo in his backpack. At the door with his things, as he is about to leave, he looks with regret and sorrow at his living space, knowing this is another goodbye for him. Theo turns out the light. Scene 4. Jamie and Drake's apartment, where Jamie burns nervous energy and Drake calmly watches her straighten up.
Why are you so nervous?
This is the first time he's here. I want him to like the place.
I'm sure he will. It's a nice place.
You mean compared to where he comes from?
That's not what I said.
Look, this isn't the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We're not Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil taking in the hood kid from Philadelphia. What?
I was just thinking that but for my paler skin color and the fact that the condo isn't as upscale, there are a lot of similarities.
Are you trying to distract me?
Is it working?
No.
I think this is a terrible time to take Theo on. Homeland Security is clearly onto the fact that you improperly used that database.
What I did was harmless.
A generation ago or two, this would have been harmless. But with changed laws, constantly evolving threats to our security...
I really should take up guitar lessons so I can create a musical accompaniment to this.
Make jokes if you want to. I'm serious. Again.
I didn't confess anything to my boss.
Good. Keep it that way.
A lawyer advising me to lie?
A lawyer advising you to not incriminate yourself. A husband advising you to lie.
You've got to promise me something.
What?
You're supposed to say, I'll promise you anything, my love.
What?
If something happens to me, you've got to promise that you will still take care of Theo.
Honey,
Promise.
Nothing is going to happen to you.
Promise me.
Okay. But I need a promise from you.
What?
My friend Randall covers this general area of law. Promise me you'll talk to him Monday. Promise.
Done. Feels like we've just renewed our wedding vows.
Until criminal prosecution and resurfaced buried roots do us part.
You may kiss the bride.
Drake gently kisses Jamie and holds her in a protective embrace before letting go of her.
So the guest bedroom is Theo's now. Should I hang up Jayhawk pennants and put a few chief bobbleheads on the bureau?
Don't be a smart ass.
The doorbell rings. Jamie freezes. Drake heads for the door before Jamie stops him.
Wait, let me get it.
Jamie squares her shoulders and opens the door to a nervous Theo wearing a backpack and carrying 2 duffel bags.
Come in, Theo. This is my husband, Drake. Drake, this is Theo.
Surprised that Drake is white, but quickly hiding it.
Nice to meet you, Mr. McBride.
Actually, it's Drake Winston, but you just call me Drake. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. My wife thinks very highly of you.
Thanks, Drake. And thanks again, Professor.
You are no longer my student, so it's okay to call me Jamie. I promise I won't take it as a sign of disrespect.
Okay, Jamie. Man, that's going to take some getting used to.
That will be the largest change you will have to master. I'll work on making that true.
This is a nice place, like really nice.
I've lived here so long, I forgot what it looks like through someone else's eyes. Each of us had our own houses when we got together, but when we got married, we thought we owed ourselves a fresh start. I'm sorry, was that insensitive of me to say? I'm just babbling. That's what I do when I'm nervous.
Nervous? Look, if you change your mind about me being here,
I don't mean nervous for that reason. I want you to be here. We want you to be here.
Absolutely. Look, Theo, if we're being honest here, when Jamie told me about inviting you to stay here, I'd be lying if I said that I welcomed the idea with open arms. But when you walked through the door just now, well, my nerves went away. Seriously, man. Just think of this as your home for as long as you want. It's not just my wife who's happy to have you here.
I don't know what to say.
Good. We don't need 3 adults in this home who always have something to say.
He is right about that.
See what I mean?
I'm sure you want to settle in your room. It's the 3rd door on the right, and the 2nd door on the right is your own bathroom. There's a connecting door.
Both of you are being so... Well, you're doing me a solid, and I really appreciate it. I don't know.
Stop. Theo? Other than the basic tenets of cleanliness, civility, and respect, we only have one real rule in this household. We don't do trite. So if that sentence was about to end with, how I'll ever repay you, then please don't. That would be breaking the house rule.
Hold up. You forgot the other house rule. No cheering for Wildcats or Tigers. Only Jayhawks.
Forgive my husband. He went to KU undergrad and law school. But I would keep cheering for K-State and MU on the low if I were you.
Theo visibly relaxes for the first time in the scene.
Jayhawks all the way. Got it. Not being too corny. Got that too.
We're going out for dinner in an hour. I should have also warned you that if you're expecting home-cooked meals, that is not a staple in this loft. Drake has on occasion been known to cook pancakes and bacon on a Sunday morning, but that's less regular than a blue moon.
Thanks. I'll be back out in an hour.
Theo exits.
I like him.
You're surprised?
A little.
So you're still okay with this?
Didn't you just tell the kid that we don't do trite in this house? Yes, I'm more than okay.
Scene 5. A month later, Theo and Drake sit on a couch. Drake holds the remote. Theo marks up a textbook.
So not okay with the game of pigskin, eh?
No, my mother was. Especially once my cousin Dewey started playing for the Cowboys. I prefer basketball.
Just like Jamie. As soon as football game comes on, she suddenly has some errand to run or a friend to meet for lunch.
Today it sounds like she had it out for both.
That's because there's 2 games today that she knows I want to watch.
Do you mind me asking you something?
Well, of course not. Sounds serious. Shoot.
Jamie has seemed, I don't know how to say it, off lately. Are you sure me staying here ain't a problem? I don't know why I don't think of it before, but my cousin would probably let me crash with him and his people in Dallas for a minute.
She has a work problem to untangle. The politics of academia and all. And you truly aren't an imposition at all. Jamie would be very upset if you left here before you finished out the semester. And frankly, I'd be a little disappointed too. I've grown used to having another guy around.
I noticed that your sons haven't been around since I moved in. Sorry, shouldn't have said anything.
No. My sons have always been close, a couple years apart, but more like twins.
That's nice. I guess. I'm an only child. Used to wonder what it would be like to have an older brother or a baby sister.
With my boys, where one goes, the other has always followed, even still. So when I don't like where one's head's at, that means that they're both a disappointment.
What does that have to do with them not coming around? They got something against a view of the downtown skyline?
You are definitely fitting in around here. Witty, smart-ass repartee.
That's a compliment indeed.
Jamie probably would not be happy with me telling you this.
You don't need to.
But I will. You're living here and, well, in this home, your family.
Family?
I'm really embarrassed because I don't know where he got this, but my oldest son, DJ, has never been happy that I married Jamie.
Why? She's great.
And she's African-American.
Oh.
And actually, Jamie would smack me on the head for saying African-American because, as she reminds me...
Not all blacks come from Africa.
Yeah. You learned well from her in class. Anyway, DJ hasn't liked it. We've had a few rows over it.
Wow. That's not what I expected. I mean, I know I should never be surprised, but...
I don't get it either. He was friends with black kids and kids from other backgrounds growing up, so it's not like I ever had any reason to detect that he was a
racist. Look, there's a few white boys back where I live, and I learned...
Where you lived. It's okay to consider this your home.
Thanks. Anyway, I've learned the hard way. Folks cool until y'all both want the same thing. Then suddenly they act all shitty. I mean, salty and superior on you.
That makes sense. A lot of sense, actually. I had never thought of it quite that way before.
Did you and Jamie know each other before you split from their moms?
No, but it wasn't long after the divorce that I met Jamie. And even though no one looking at us might have put us together, I immediately felt a connection and happiness with her that my sons never saw me have with their mother.
I'm sorry. Not for you and Jamie, but for you and your sons.
We come together as a family every now and then, but well, let's just say coming over here has never been a family tradition.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Really, you a cool dude, and Jamie don't deserve that.
She doesn't for sure.
I know I can't, but I wish there was something I could do.
You're actually already doing it.
I am?
Just by being here, as I said, in this home, your family. She needs that. That's why you're so important to her.
Jamie is important to me too. Real important.
Scene 6. Jamie is alone in her classroom pacing. Drake enters. Jamie stops pacing, and from the looks on her face, Drake just takes Jamie in his arms.
Honey, what's so important? You sounded so upset on the phone. I ended the meeting as soon as
Homeland found out that I used the database improperly and are threatening to prosecute under the recent bill that just passed. The one that makes the Patriot Act look like nursery rhymes.
Oh my God. You know, I warned you about this, but I didn't think
And the
this would...
school is threatening to revoke my tenure if that happens.
They can't do that.
Unfortunately, there's a clause in my tenure agreement that says they can.
Did you talk to Randall?
Right before I called you, I just didn't want to talk about this at home and risk Theo coming home. And I was too humiliated to come to your office. I'm scared.
What did Randall say?
That I could do 2 years prison time.
That's insane.
That's why I'm scared. Randall says they are very serious about pursuing this, wanting to make me an example.
Oh, this pisses me off so much. White guys still bend these kind of laws for profit all the time. No one wants to make an example out of them.
You better watch it, Drake. You're sounding like the wrong side of the swirl.
Stop trying to joke to calm me down. You know I'm right.
Sweetie, I know you're right. You know you're right. But it is what it is. So I want you to remember the promise you made me to look out for Theo. I know 2 years isn't that long a time and he's a grown man, but...
The trite rule extends to our workplaces too. Of course I'll look out for him. But you should tell him about this.
I can't.
You can. And you need to also tell him that you're his aunt too. Tell him everything.
Are you crazy? His mother just died a few months ago.
You said it yourself, he's a grown man.
What good does telling him all this truth do?
What good does withholding it do for him? You at least have to tell him about the possible prison sentence.
There's a chance we can get around this and he'll never even have to know to worry.
I'd love for that to be the reality, but Randall is the regional expert on this kind of government crime. If he's talking 2 years, this is a real possibility.
Jamie sits in her seat in stunned defeat.
If there's anything I need to tell him, it's that he's my nephew. And, well, I need to at least tell him that.
When will you know something?
Next week, there's a closed hearing.
Next week. That seems like a million years from now.
Scene 7. The living room of Jamie and Drake. Theo sits alone on the couch. Jamie enters the apartment.
Hello there. I know you have a million things going on. Was hoping you'd be around.
Here I am.
Are you busy?
Studying.
Don't you have a test coming up?
Yep.
Are you worried about it?
Not really.
I see we're mighty chatty today.
You're not my mother. Not that she would be asking me about a test anyway.
I know. I'm not sure where this is coming from, just asking.
About my studying, my clothes, worrying about what I do or where I go when I go out.
I'm sorry. Could you just tell me what I've done to upset you?
Nothing. Nothing.
I upset you, and we're not going to blow this off. Just tell me what I did, and I'll just listen.
Today is my mama's birthday.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. The firsts after losing someone are always the most painful. Whatever it is that you need me to do or not do today, just tell me. I'll tell Drake too.
Because it was my mama's birthday, I took the photo of us that was in our crib and took it out of the frame and put it in the much nicer frame I bought.
What a beautiful idea.
When I took the photo out, I found a letter taped to the back.
A letter?
To me. It wasn't that long ago she wrote it, just a fluke. I found it.
What did it say? Never mind. Forget I asked.
Theo pulls out a letter and hands it to Jamie.
Read it.
I can't.
Read it.
Are you sure?
Please.
As we see Jamie start to read the letter, the scene shifts to the apartment of Belinda and Theo. We see Belinda finishing up writing a letter on a torn out notebook paper, signing it, and then she reads the entire letter out loud.
Dear Theo, it's your mama here. You know I'm not much of a writer, never have been. Didn't have a head for books and such like you. Maybe you take after your daddy that way. I wouldn't know. I'm writing this because there's some things I think you need to know, now more than ever. And I don't really have the guts to tell you to your face. Maybe one day, even though you're a man now, I don't tell you much. Okay, I've never told you how proud I am of you. You've always been so good in school, so smart, just an easy child. I should have told you this, but I didn't. Because I never been book smart, I never knew how to help you, how to encourage you. I wish I did know. I wish I was smarter and had more schooling. But now you have someone in your life who can help you, who can be there for you in a way I can't. Look, this story is complicated. Shit, life is complicated. Remember I told you about my daddy, Jebediah Solomon Corker. I looked up to him so much. He was the minister of our church, tall, fierce, good-looking, with a voice like thunder. I thought he could do no wrong. No one did. And I was the biggest daddy's girl until the day I was 16 years old and I found out that daddy had another girl my age and living on the other side of the town. I ain't going to bore you with exactly how I found out. I'm just going to tell you that he was a dog. He had a woman in every corner of the county. Marie McBride was just the only one he had a baby with. And you know the worst part? Mabel's people had money. Us, all we had was a little bit of what my daddy collected from the collection plate every Sunday and the extra money my mama made on the side from cooking for white folks down at the marketing company. I'm writing this the morning before I go to see Mabel's daughter, my daddy's daughter.
Scene shifts back to Theo and Jamie.
There's more.
Oh my God.
Yep.
She knew all this time. And you didn't?
All I knew when I walked into your class, all I thought I knew was that a white professor named Jaime McBride taught the class. I assumed you'd be another white man. I also didn't think that it was going to be a black lady and that the black lady would be
Be your aunt. How do you feel about it?
How long did you know?
Before you walked into my classroom, but not long before.
And Drake knows.
Yes.
Who else?
I'm not supposed to know. And I don't keep secrets from Drake, so it's just us.
Why didn't you tell me?
There's never been a good time.
How about the day you knew? Or the day I walked in your classroom? Or the next day? How about before you let me be a charity case living under your roof?
You were not a charity case.
You have any other former student live here?
No.
Why me then?
Because even if you never found out, you're my nephew, and I...
You what?
You reminded me a little of me. I was never going to see that in another human being, and I wanted us to be close. But I didn't want to upend your world, especially after your mother died.
Did you ever stop to think I needed you? That I needed family? I haven't been around my uncle and his family since I was a kid. I have one cousin I only see if I'm at the house of one of my boys and they watching the Chiefs play the Cowboys. When Mama died, I was all alone.
Scene shifts back to Belinda reading the letter.
I guess you can figure out that teacher lady of yours is your auntie. Honestly, it's easier to think of her that way than as my sister. If I think of her that way, then I don't have to think of who my daddy really was. And I didn't want to do that. Still don't. He was the man who bought me candy in the winter and took me to Dairy Queen for a double dip cone in the summer. He was the one that braided my hair so pretty and perfect when Mama was at work. He's the one I let name my baby when you came into this world. He's the one I cried so hard over the day we buried him. My brother had to make me take one of his pills to knock me out. I'm hoping that I'm going to have the gumption to tell you this myself, but if I don't get the nerve, I'm going to leave you this letter. One you may find after I'm gone, but when you have babies of your own. I love you, baby. P.S. One last little thing. I went to go see your teacher lady, your auntie. I didn't like her, but she's the kind of woman you need to have in your life. She's smart, and she's got some spirit. She's got some ambition about her, and she's your blood. I hope that I don't regret not having told you to your face that you don't graduate without her knowing, and then you end up losing each other. Or I hope she's smart enough to figure it out. If I ain't around no more and she be something to you. As I'm writing this, it comes to me that it ain't fair to say I don't like her. I just don't want to like her. No, I was right the first time. I don't like her ass. Love, your mama.
Your blood. I didn't think you and your mother, my sister, had much in common. But it goes without saying I underestimated her. And for that, I will forever remain deeply ashamed.
I gotta get out of here.
Theo.
Theo grabs the letter, his backpack, and a jacket, and leaves quickly out the door. Scene 8. After a knocking, Theo enters his old apartment. It's empty now, and he walks around. He is sipping from a can of beer, the same brand his mother drank.
Get out of here. Can't believe that cheap-ass landlord didn't even change the lock. And Gloria was right. No one's still living in here yet. Hey, Mama. I know it's silly talking to you like you in here, in this empty apartment. I guess I should go out to the graveyard, but I can't. I can't think of you being there. But here, even though the place is empty, it's like any minute you're gonna walk in that damn Family Dollar uniform and tell me to go grab you a beer. Well, here it is. Salut. I read your letter. I just wanted you to know that. And I'm fine, really. I don't know what I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go, but I know everything. Just wanted you to know that I don't care about any of it. Not Jamie, not your daddy, not my daddy, none of it. I just care about the one thing you told me, that you were proud of me. I wish I could have heard you say it to me.
Scene 9. Living room of Jamie and Drake. A sign that said congrats hangs. 2 extensively wrapped gifts sit on the table. The door opens. Jamie and Drake walk in wearing nice but professional-looking outfits, something that can be worn to a hearing or a graduation. Theo walks in behind wearing his graduation gown, carrying his backpack and graduation cap.
I finally get to say it to you. I am so proud of you for graduating.
Who would have thought? Your final hearing and my graduation will be on the same day.
But thank God they were at different times, so the 3 of us could go to both.
We could thank God, or we can thank our former intern, who is Judge Peterson's clerk and the girlfriend of the clerk to the judge presiding over the case. Thank her for asking him to move the case to the judge's afternoon docket. A double thank you. Enough of that. I bought you 2 each huge gifts in honor of your big days. I need you to open them now so I can get the ice cream cake out of the freezer.
He always buys his favorite desserts for my big occasions.
Hey, only the favorites I know you'd like to.
How about this, honey? You go to the kitchen and get the cake out. We'll open your gifts as soon as we're done. Just need a few minutes alone to give Theo my gift to him.
Ah, that's right. So much going on today. I will patiently wait to cut into the cake.
Drake exits to the kitchen, but stops before leaving.
But hurry up so that the cake doesn't melt. We do not need Mr. Wasabi trying to lap it up.
Honey, keep an eye on the cake and the cat. We'll be right in. Love you, baby.
Love you. Love you both.
Drake exits to kitchen.
Jamie, I can't even take another thing from you, really. I wouldn't have been able to graduate today if it wasn't for you. I'm a college graduate. I can't believe it. Even my cousin Dewey sent me a card with a little cash in it. Mama might have been proud of that.
You read her letter. She was proud of you already.
I know.
And I know it was hard for you to not have her there today.
I don't know if she would have been able to come to the graduation. It would have been in the middle of her shift. So.
She would have been there. But I want to give you this gift now and hope it's something you still want.
A soft briefcase to replace my backpack.
No. Wait, is that what you wanted? Damn. Well, no. My present is this.
Jamie hands Theo a piece of paper, which he quickly reads.
What's this?
My last illegal act before cutting a deal of probation with the feds. Also known as your father's name, physical address, email address, telephone number, workplace, and the names and pertinent information about your two siblings, an older brother and younger sister.
You didn't get this from any DNA base.
I got enough. I got the rest from a private investigator I hired. I wanted you to have all the choices, either for now or later in life.
He lives in St. Louis.
Yep.
If I hadn't skipped out on that internship you got me, I might have met him.
Maybe. You didn't skip out on anything. You lost your mother.
I don't know how to...
Drake, honey, Theo's in here about to break a house rule. I think he should forfeit the soft leather briefcase to replace his backpack that you got him, all wrapped up pretty in this box.
Scene 9. The whole stage is dark as we hear voices.
Oh, look at you, wrapped all pretty and warm. Oh, little girl, I love you so hard.
Sound of a baby's happy laughter.
I love you so hard. I hope you grow up from being my pretty baby to a pretty young woman. And even more importantly, I hope you grow up smart and focused and classy. But never forget how important family is. How no matter what, you look out for family. Always, baby girl. Always.
End of play.
Make me feel like I can breathe again. Make me feel like I'm alive. When my heart is turning cold again, always warm me up inside. You make me feel like I'm a better me. Every crevice of your smile. Oh, I never thought it would last this long. Seasons of love, they never die. You're the chance I'll always take. You're the bond I'll never break. It ain't always what it seems. 'Cause it's not impossible to dream. Chance I'll always take. You're the bond I'll never break. It ain't always what it seems. 'Cause it's not impossible to dream. You make me feel like I can breathe again. Make me feel like I'm alive. Oh, when my heart is turning cold again, you always warm me up inside.
All right, so before we get started on our interview, I just want to give another round of applause to our wonderful cast tonight. How are you feeling?
Great. They did a beautiful job.
Yay! How did it feel listening to it and just sitting and hearing it with this audience?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of playwrights in the house. You know how it goes.
It's true. There are playwrights in the house. There are a lot of Parsnip playwrights in the house, which is really exciting. Yeah. So what was your inspiration behind writing Buried Roots?
It's a complicated explanation and a very personal one, but I can reduce it to a friend of mine who's really into genealogy wanted to do my genealogy. And one of the things I explained to her is that with my family dynamics, there was a whole half of my life that I didn't want to go near. And then because of slavery, there's only so far up it was going to go. So it's like, I basically said, she's a white woman who comes from England, and she can like literally, she had some absurd number of generations she could go back. Like, I don't even know if I want to know about 19, steps up, but but it was, and she found that out quickly, and she was like, oh, this is complicated. So like, most writers, I envisioned a story from my own questions.
Yeah. And in earlier, when I asked you what the world would be missing if it didn't have this play, you talked about, or you touched upon tracing roots upwards, like you've just mentioned, but also sideways.
Right.
And so like, what does that mean to you, roots sideways?
Well,
or tracing your roots sideways?
For most of you who are sitting here who come from a more traditional situation where your mother and your father were married and they had you, then, it's a very clear sort of dynamic of how you got here. But for other people, either because of adoption, either because of stuff that happens, there may be this missing piece that's 50% of who you are.
Right.
And so, sort of like I say in the play, even if you can find out, do you really want to find out? Because biology is not necessarily parenting.
Right.
And parenting doesn't have anything to do with biology sometimes.
True. And one thing that is touched upon, or is within the context of the world in which you've created in this piece. So we're in 2030. So about 10, 11 years from now, what has happened in the future when it comes to security and access, so much so that Jamie, like what Jamie has done is such a no-no, that her husband is really, really honing on of like what she did was not good, and she may have to face some consequences for it.
Well, I can just remember listening to an NPR story. Shout out to NPR. Hey. And this story about how this one agency was tracing a criminal's background. Like basically they had his blood through some innocent means and used that to figure out that he did a crime. And there's been a couple of like cases of that. And I, both from what the story said and then me sort of taking it past that, it's like, oh, they're not going to be able to do this in a few years. In a few years, at some point, the first rich white man who has his DNA in the database, they're going to shut that down. So, it's long. It's so, I just thought there's going to come a time when these laws are going to change this, because as technology improves, it's going to be just too easy to basically. So the good thing about that is technology can help uncover crimes because of DNA.
Right.
The bad news is that a lot of people's privacy may be violated. For that purpose.
Yeah, it's like when you watch SVU.
As I always
or
do.
Criminal Minds, and you're like, yes, there's DNA.
Exactly.
But then if it were my issue, like if I like killed somebody,
right,
I'd be like, damn, no,
you don't want that.
Fuck, I just shot myself in the foot.
You don't want that. And as somebody, exactly, and as somebody, and the other thing, I mean, if you I had a lot of TV references in the play because I'm all about TV. But I particularly like my old TV shows, and so I'm embarrassed to say, like, one of my favorite old TV shows is Columbo. And you watch.
I've never heard of Columbo. That's no shade. No, I never heard of Columbo. Like, but when was that? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna do my Lizzo imitation. Woo, child.
But anyway, you know Lizzo, see?
Anyway, so because I'm a complicated woman with lots of worlds, so Columbo was a really famous TV show that you've never heard of, young one, from the 70s. Is that right? 70s? The 70s. And so the big thing with Columbo is that he would always detect by figuring out some little thing and unraveling that thread through a lot of questions. And like his catch line was, one more thing to ask you. And so you watch a Columbo episode now and you're like, that would be a 5-minute episode because, I mean, so-and-so cut his hand while he was murdering so-and-so, boom to chickie, DNA, right?
Oh, was it like, then he would look for like the cut on the hand and be like,
right,
aha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So just looking at how technology has changed things in my youthful lifetime.
Emphasis on the youthful.
Right. Emphasis on the youthful is I can only imagine at the rate at which technology changes that things that would take 20 years to close up as a gap will probably take 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And then, who doesn't like a reality where Trump isn't president anymore, right? I mean, that was just, I'm sorry. I work for an NPR affiliate. I'm not supposed to have political commentary. So that's part of it too. I mean, it's not so much getting hung up on that it takes place in the future,
right.
but just that whole concept of what DNA means and how it can be used for harm, but how it can be used for good, such as in this case.
Yeah, it's a very thin line. One thing that you mentioned that Jamie mentions in the play to Theo is his need to represent because they're the only 2 Black people in her classroom. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think people need to represent if it's just if they are the first or if they are the only within a group?
As I've gotten older, my feelings on that have changed. As as a younger professional, I was definitely more in line with the concept of I have to always represent my people, always have to represent. The older I get, because we can cuss on this, right?
Oh,
The older I get, I'm like, fuck that. Because it's about just representing your authenticity as a person. Because
y'all can talk about it. So
please,
totally
thank you. Because if we want to get down to the bigotry of it, the only people who are ever expected to represent are people who are in marginalized groups. There's no white person I know, except maybe on my Facebook page, who feels like they have to represent for all white people. Yes.
What
yes,
about on
Hunty.
the official playwrights of Facebook?
And then that's some of those folks just represent ignorance, But so really, I think like in that scene, I also was trying to touch on the fact that when you are I'm just going to say Black people. This applies to all kinds of, POC folks, LGBTQ folks, but, for those of you on the radio who can't see, I'm Black. I know, right? Y'all can see me, but the people on the radio can't, or the podcast can't see. And there is a connection when you and someone else are the onlys in a room full of people who are not what you are. And that, I've been a speaker as a diversity speaker where literally there's been a room full of white people. I'm speaking on diversity and there's one person of color. I used to be an attorney. I've walked into courtrooms, walked into hearings, walked into depositions where the only person might be me and the court reporter, if that, I'm now, in radio journalism again. There are times in my newsroom where I'm the only Black person,
Yeah.
And so there is a connection you have when you're one of few and you can tell there's that other person. I mean, the thing with race is it's visible. You know, that's why I really feel for my LGBTQ brothers and sisters, because they don't always know when they walk into a room who's who and what's up.
Right.
And there's something to that. And what's funny about it is that you know, a lot of white folks get sensitive when I mention that and go, well, I don't notice color. I mean, I just had a conversation at intermission about that. But I always say, if you don't notice the difference, regardless of what that difference is, that means that everybody in the room is you. Because every white person who's ever said to me, well, I don't really notice that, when they go to the Black wedding, the Latino birthday party, the Jewish funeral, you know, whatever, we're there the only. Monday morning, I got to hear all about it. Oh my God, I was there only for a whole hour. I understand what it's like for you now, Michelle, you know? So I have heard that anyway. You can feel free to cut that if you get short on time. But you know, the play itself is about family, but family sometimes is bigger than your biology.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the reasons why I had her husband Drake be white, because, you know, the whole play was about what the choices you make in family, in addition to the choices that get dumped on you. I mean, when, you know, like I said, in the play, we all get here 2 by 2. I mean, no matter, it's funny, we all leave by ourselves. Even if you die in a tragedy, you die by yourself in the sense that you can't take anybody with you, right? But you come into the world because 2 people created you. And, you know, we're all here, every single one of us.
Well, technology, now 3 sometimes.
And even then, no. Even then, it's still, you know, biologically, it's 2 people. I mean, there may be a female uterus that is the carrier, but it's still a male, you know what I mean? It's
no, I mean like gene splicing. Like,
you know, we can't go there. We can't go there. Let me mess in my play now. Okay, 2 by 2. 2 by 2.
Okay, we're doing 2 by 2. 2 by 2. 2 by 2. Great.
2 by 2. You know, girls plays. But no, I mean, but seriously, and how you get in the world, and then the choices you make about family when you get here is something. You know, and I'm a single woman who's an only child who didn't have kids. And so biology means something very different to me than it does to my friends. Family means something very different to me than it does to my friends. And yet, like when I would visit my grandmother in the nursing home before she passed away, I used to, before my grandmother got sick with Alzheimer's, I used to think that the worst thing was dying alone. And visiting her in the nursing home made me realize, no, what's worse is having family and you're dying alone. You know, my grandmother, it was just me and my mother, but, you know, the 2 of us, you know, always visited, and we visited at odd times. And deep down, I like to think till the end, you know, she knew her family was there. But then I would look and I would see there are people who'd have a bunch of kids who'd never had their kids visit them. And so, I mean, that's what family is to me. It's about choices as well as, you know, what you get.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful.
And anybody who knows me well goes, okay, Michelle's about to cry. Because, you know, family gets to all of us, you know, no matter how strong or tough you are, how you conceive a family is deep.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you for that. Are you ready for a lighter question?
Yes.
You want to turn her around?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay. This one is fun.
Okay.
So,
turn around. Okay.
100 years from now, how do you envision, where do you see women? The future of women.
For that?
What got me on that is that I was reminded that 100 years ago, white women were given the right to vote.
It'll be 1920.
Right. And so
2020, that'll be 100 years.
Right. Yeah. So now looking 100 years from now, where do you see? 2000. I don't know math. 2,190.
21.
I was like, carry
21.
the one.
2120.
Yes.
Well, one of the reasons why, the few of us kind of got into this conversation during the intermission about social media and how certain people just like they've gotten off of it because it's too disruptive, it's too upsetting. And I myself love social media even at its worst because I say it's the height of privilege to say, well, I don't like to be bothered or disturbed. And I look at social media as the great equalizer. Mm-hmm. And so as the great equalizer, we get to have a faster speed at which people disrupt the narrative. Mm-hmm. We have a quicker speed at which disenfranchised groups and the intersectionality of different groups. Mm-hmm. We get to have a way high. So the things that took 100 years to get, before, like say the white women, because let's be clear, it's the white women who get to celebrate 100 years of getting the right to vote next year. Right. I would repeat that, but I don't want you to have to cut that out too.
I make that very clear when we talk about that question.
But I don't think that it will take 100 years for people, another 100 years, because already I see just how things have changed rapidly in the last few years. And it's because people can communicate better now. They can communicate more differently. My followers on Twitter, would not follow me out to the bathroom, but there are people who, if they tweet something, it can have the kind of resonance where it's a movement. Mm-hmm. It's a movement. So I think 100 years from now, as we already are kind of seeing, women and subsets of women aren't just going to take the bullshit. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's bullshit that people are dealing with today that they're going to deal with think of the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. It's all the issues that ever come up have always been there. We just have a greater velocity in being able to talk about them now and being able to fight about it now. And I personally think fighting is a good thing. I know that goes against the norm of some people, but I think that there's something to being able to say, no, you fucked up, and I'm letting you know how and why. And that's why I think that the future is female, because females aren't just going to keep taking the same old stuff. I know as a Black female, I'm not taking the same old stuff in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. So, my 55th birthday is next month. So Happy birthday to me. And I know at almost 55, there are things that I don't tolerate that I tolerated at 35, because at 35, I had no voice. I had no ability to speak and have people listen. And so I look at somebody who has a little girl now, and do you think that they are going to have the same sort of duct tape over their mouth? Because if we got Twitter and Facebook and Instagram now, I assume that in 100 years, it's just going to go directly in your brain, Yeah. So I think that the future is female, because technology, for all of its bad things, technology is going to unite us. Sure, it can destroy us, mm-hmm. but we have agency and choice and the ability to use it for good and not evil.
I like that. Very succinct. And last two questions. This one has to be quick because we are running out of time. Okay. 60 seconds. Trump were in this room, what would you say to him?
I would say to Trump, if I only had 60 seconds, I really need you to stop making everything all about you. I need you to look at the humanity of what you do, not even individual decisions, but that your job, your position isn't just about look at me and my ego, that you are the person in this country who the very soul of our existence is in your hands.
Boom, drop the mic.
I mean, it would do nothing. I mean, it would mean nothing. I mean, let's just be clear.
To try.
He would have to have somebody explain to him what I said, but you know.
It is what it is. And last question, really easy. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
I didn't have breakfast, but what I had was, I decided that what I wanted, because I've become a new fan of Korean food, I got over in this part of Brooklyn early enough to go get bibimbap for an early lunch.
Oh, nice. Was it good?
It was delicious.
Excellent. Yes. I love that.
So a Kansan had kimchi in Brooklyn and Brooklyn bibimbap.
Well, we're gonna wrap up, but thank you for that interview, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Do me a favor, cut the stupid stuff out.
Oh, none of it is stupid. It was great. It was great. So I wanted to say some thank yous. Thank you to the Mark O'Donnell Theater at the Actors Fund Arts Center for hosting us again tonight. I want to thank our wonderful, dope, amazing cast, which included Jay Mazyck, Grant Machan, Malikha, Mallette, Sarita, Covington, Daryl, Lauren, and Cezar Williams. You got me from that combo. Our musician tonight is Marie Gabrielle. This episode was directed by Cezar Williams. And this play was written, of course, by Michelle Tyrene Johnson. Thank you to Fernando Castillo, our audio engineer, and Luke DeCola, our editor. Thank you to our TPS team and Business Lunch Productions. BLP is a leading creative agency based in New York City, working with creatives all over the world. And thanks as always to the Mark O'Donnell Theater for having us in their space tonight. The Mark O'Donnell Theater at the Actors Fund Arts Center is a state-of-the-art black box performance venue and rehearsal space located at the lobby level of the Skimmerhorn in downtown Brooklyn. It's a program of the Actors Fund whose mission is to foster stability and resiliency and provide a safety net for performing arts and entertainment professionals over their lifespan. For more information on the Actors Fund and how they help people all around the country, visit actorsfund.org. And before we close out our last song from Marie tonight, I just want to say thank you all for being here in this space and for listening to the Parsnip Ship. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, at the Parsnip Ship NY. And I just want to give a special thank you to everyone who donated to our very first TPS fundraiser. We matched my $1,000 donation, and with your help, we raised another $1,000 for $2,000 for complete support of our season. Please continue to lend your support in keeping our program free and accessible by donating online and on Venmo. Tell people about it. And you can listen to our first 4 seasons of the Parsnip Ship on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Our season 4 finale, A Shiro's Journey, or What Ana Koana and Yamaya Taught Me by Guadalice Del Carmen, is available now. And our season 5 premiere, The Flora and Fauna by Allison Mead, will be available next week. Oh, this week. Yay. Join us for our next live recording on Monday, November 25th for Abraham's Daughters by Emma Goldman Sherman, directed by Dalia Asherina. This episode was produced by the Parsnip Ship and Business Lunch Productions. The Parsnip Ship is a fiscally sponsored project of Brooklyn Arts Council. New plays, new music. This is how we hear theater. Take it away, Marie.
Oldie but goodie. Feel free to sing along.
They say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. Till I remember every face of everyone who put me here. They say every woman needs protection. They say that everyone must fall. Still I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. You understand someone in this lonely crowd, someone who swears she's not to blame. All day long I hear her shouting so loud. She's crying out that she was framed. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, we shall be released.